She spent $250 million putting ads out across America, $250 million, in which she was prominently displayed. They looked a great deal like political ads. And I found that breathtaking. And when I see what I perceive to be spending porn, I don't care who does it. I'm going to call it out. I'm pretty cheap when it comes to taxpayer money. I squeak when I walk. It also came out that these were no-bid contracts, and I was stunned when she answered categorically that the president approved every single bit of it. Later that day, I got a call from President Trump. He was mad as a mama wasp. She was dead as fried chicken.
It started with a smug smile. The official thought he could outsmart the room with polished jargon and bureaucratic arrogance. He thought he was untouchable, but he made one fatal mistake. He smiled at Senator John Kennedy. What you're about to see is the exact second the arrogance vanished. Kennedy didn't just ask a question. He set a trap that was 25 years in the making. From nonsense on stilts to the most brutal reality check in Senate history, the game is officially over. Hit that subscribe button right now to join the movement, because today, the receipts are finally being read out loud. Let's look at the moment he realized his career was done.
Thank you, Senator Kennedy.
Secretary Wolf, thank you for your service. Why, in your opinion, do so many, not all, but so many of my Democratic colleagues believe in open borders?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's a couple of different fronts. One, it would be they don't believe in immigration law. They don't like enforcement. They don't like removing of individuals. And they believe that there are some that believe that anyone and everyone should be able to come to the U.S., whether they apply for protections under U.S. law or not. And then there's some probably that would like to see more voters in the U.S. as well.
Ms. Vaughn, some of my colleagues, for whom I have great respect, believe that the 10th Amendment allows local governments to ignore federal immigration law and implement sanctuary policy. The Supreme Court has ruled that racial quotas represent a pernicious form of racial discrimination. Can local governments ignore that ruling under the 10th Amendment?
Well, the 10th Amendment is about...
Just answer my question, please, ma'am.
The 10th Amendment is about commandeering, and so it's not really appropriate to this because...
Is the answer yes or no, ma'am?
Could you ask me again? Because I don't understand the relevance to... I'm sorry, I don't... Because ICE is not asking them
Secretary Wolf, you heard my question. Under the guise of the 10th Amendment, can local governments ignore a Supreme Court ruling?
I don't believe they can.
Okay. Women have the right to vote in America by statute and by constitutional interpretation. Under the guise of the 10th Amendment, can local governments just ignore that and prohibit women from voting?
No.
Okay. Mr. Duke, you worked for President Biden and Vice President Harris, didn't you?
Yes.
And I listened carefully to your testimony today. You expressed, well, you offered the opinion that the One Big Beautiful Bill is terrible in part because it will cause deficits. Is that right?
Yes.
Isn't it a fact that the profligacy of President Biden caused 9% inflation in America?
No.
Okay. Isn't it a fact that if President Biden had discovered life on Mars when he was president, he would have immediately sent it money?
I don't believe so.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Well, I appreciate your newly found fiscal conservatism. Mr. Beer, you seem to be a very smart guy, and you seem to be a nice enough guy.
Thank you, Senator. You seem smart as well.
Object.
Don't
That was the chairman, not me.
Don't you think your hyperbolic statements undermine your credibility?
What hyperbolic statement did I make?
On February the 11th, 2026, you posted on Bluesky, quote, my words, or your words, not mine. The Democrats' video telling service members to ignore illegal orders didn't go far enough. They should have also urged them to refuse unethical orders, whether illegal or not. There are many things deemed legal that are still obviously unethical, and everyone should hold themselves to this higher law, end quote. Did I read that correctly?
I believe you did. Do you disagree with it? You think people should do unethical things in their capacity?
On December the 31st of 2025, you posted in front of God.
But wait. Do you disagree with what I said?
Let me finish my question.
I'm sorry.
Answer it, sir.
Sure.
In front of God and country, you said, quote, they, referring to Republicans, think they control their way into us accepting ethnic cleansing, end quote. Your words, not mine. Did I read that correctly?
That was in regard to a Department of Homeland Security post about advocating 100 million deportations. That is what DHS has tweeted from their own account. 100 million deportations would be ethnic cleansing. You would be removing 1/3 of the country. So yes, there are people within the Department of Homeland Security.
And you don't think this is hyperbolic? Give me 30 more seconds.
I think advocating 100 million deportations is
I'm having fun here,
ethnic
Mr. Chairman.
cleansing.
On February 5th, you quoted you said the following on Bluesky.
Your time's up.
These are all good, but there's no enforcement mechanism. I'm sorry. Let me try a better one. On March 2nd, you said, quote, if you rule against Trump's population purge agenda, no hyperbole there, the nativists will name you, threaten you, and come after you. These judges are much braver than the ICE agents who hide behind masks while violating the Constitution.
They are much braver. They put their names on their rulings and they stand behind their constitutional rulings. When I talk about population purge, I'm talking about the fact that they're trying to deport U.S.-born citizens, people born here. They are trying to deport them as well. So it's not a mass deportation agenda. It is also an agenda intended to reduce the population of the United States, including U.S.-born people. So these are not hyperbolic statements. I appreciate you reading my account. I appreciate your research.
Here's the good news.
What planet did you just, wait a minute, Mr. Chairman, what planet did you just parachute in from?
No. Hey, guys.
You trigger my gag reflex, Mr. Beer.
So we got a process here, and it's good to know you don't have an agenda.
Cut our costs by almost 40%. We are saving the taxpayer 40% by purchasing our own aircraft and operating them rather than being susceptible to the contracts that they have today.
We have an extra 2 minutes to fill in the filibuster there.
I'll give you 30 seconds beyond the 44 seconds you got now.
Truthfully answer a question for the record about your role in stopping the civil rights investigation into the Minnesota shootings?
Sir, I don't know what you're talking about. I did not stop any investigations whatsoever.
Will you testify truthfully if you get a QFR?
Yes, I testify truthfully. I did not
and
stop.
will you testify in the District of Columbia Federal Court contempt proceeding?
Sir, I do not know what you're referencing, and I would hope for some context.
The Federal District Court contempt proceeding related to the deportation, contrary to a court order, of individuals to Venezuela. Will you testify in that proceeding?
Sir, I think that you're referencing something that I have a gag order to, but I can certainly follow up with you.
My time's up. Thank you.
Senator Kennedy, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Madam Secretary, for being here. President Trump, ably assisted by Mr. Stephen Miller, quickly in the President's second administration developed policies to secure our southern border, policies that you and the Department of Homeland Security implemented. And I congratulate all of you on your success. Properly vetting people at the southern border is not racist, is it?
No.
Could you answer for the record?
No, it is not racist.
Properly vetting people at the southern border is prudent, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is.
And to do that, we need the Border Patrol, do we not?
Yes, we do.
And we also need ICE, do we not?
Yes, we do.
Okay. I just wanted to get my congratulations on the record. I believe you have a policy, Madam Secretary, that you have to approve all contracts at your department over $100 million.
No, sir, I have a policy in place that I review contracts. My deputy chiefs have the ability to review anything under $5 million. Above that, I evaluate and look at.
Okay. And you do that, I understand, to try to curb waste and abuse of taxpayer money. Is that right?
Yes, sir. In fact, it's been extremely effective. We've saved the taxpayers over $13.2 billion just by evaluating contracts, negotiating lower ones, and canceling ones that aren't necessary to do our duties.
How do you square that concern for waste, which I share, with the fact that you have spent $220 million running television advertisements that feature you prominently?
Sir, the president tasked me with getting the message out to the country and to other countries where we were seeing the invasion come from, with putting commercials out that told them that if they were in this country illegally, that they needed to leave, or we would detain them and remove them, and they'd not get the chance to come back to America the right way. That has been extremely effective.
Ask you to run these advertisements, is that right?
We had that conversation, yes, before I was put in this position and sworn in and confirmed, and since then as well.
Okay. Did you bid out those service contracts?
Yes, they did. They went out to a competitive bid, and career officials at the department chose who would do those advertising commercials.
And the people that you ended up picking were people who had formerly done your political work back in South Dakota, is that right?
No, that's not correct, sir.
I think it is.
No, it's not, sir. The individuals who, I believe the careers who they chose were two different media firms. There's been conversation about their subcontractors, but we have no legal authority to look into subcontractors on work like that.
Okay. And you're saying that you're testifying that President Trump approved this ahead of time? Is that my understanding?
We had conversations about making sure that we were telling people.
No, ma'am. I'm asking you, sorry to interrupt, but the president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it correctly.
Did the president know you were going to do
OMB.
this?
Yes.
He did?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
And one thing, Senator, I think would be helpful to know is how effective that communications has been. That
Well, they were
overwhelmingly
effective in your name recognition. I mean, I personally just, I mean, to me, it puts the president in a terribly awkward spot. And I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. It's just hard for me to believe, knowing the president as I do, that you said, Mr. President, here's some ads I've cut, and I'm going to spend $220 million running them, that he would have agreed to that. I don't think Russ Vogt at OMB would have agreed to that. It's something we have to defend. I'm on the Appropriations Committee. My research shows that you did not bid them out, that you pick, in fact, one of the people you picked, the strategy group, Safe America Media was a company formed 11 days before you picked them, and that the strategy group got most of the money, and the head of that is married to your former spokesperson. Look, we all have friends who are qualified. I'm not quibbling with that. It troubles me. A fifth to a quarter of $1 billion of taxpayer money when we're scratching for every penny and we're fighting over rescission packages. I just can't agree with, Madam Secretary. Are you still running those ads?
No, Senator, I did not have anything to do with picking those contractors. I know politicals at the Department of Homeland Security did.
I understand. Are you
Career
still running
officials
those
followed
ads?
the competitive bid process for
Are you
that.
still running those ads?
I think the ads are due to end here in March, I think within a week or
So
two.
they
I'm
are
not sure of the
still running?
update. The one that is running is focusing on angel families. Have you seen that? It is the one that's talking about this is our why. This is why we work every day.
Okay.
Is for the angel
I've gotta
families
move
and their
on.
victims that need to.
After the two killings in Minneapolis, and I think there's a lot of video on them, Madam Secretary. I think people can see the video and draw their own conclusions. Are you and your department conducting an investigation of those?
Sir, the investigation is being led by the FBI. HSI was involved. In fact, our HSI agents on the ground.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I got so little time. I believe at the time you said these were acts of domestic terrorism. Is that right?
Sir, in answer to questions at the press conference that afternoon, it was that it appeared to be.
Yeah, but you said these appeared to be acts of domestic terrorism.
And as I've said previously in this hearing, is that
first, Madam Secretary, did you say
we're getting
I think
information from a chaotic scene on the
Did you say
ground
that?
and relaying information to the American people.
Okay. Now, again, those videos are public. People can draw their own conclusions. I think it'd be safe to say you got some pushback on that. Mm-hmm. Would that be fair?
Yes, sir.
And you got some criticism. I'm not saying the criticism was accurate or inaccurate. I think you did. What got my attention was that you blamed those statements on Mr. Stephen Miller at the White House. Did you not?
No, sir, I did not. And in fact, where you're seeing that is in a news article of anonymous sources. And anonymous sources say a lot of things, but I've never said that at all.
Well, here's what you said on the record. I'm going to read your words. Quote, everything I've done at the direction of the president and Stephen.
Sir, where did you see me say that at? You read that in a news article with no sources affiliated to it.
You said it on the record on January 27th of 2026. Did I read your words accurate?
I enjoy working with the president and with Stephen Miller, and that day we were working to get as much information to the American people as possible. That is what we'll continue to do, and as that happens, we'll go forward.
Do you think it was fair to blame Mr. Miller?
Sir, I did not do that. You're reading from a newspaper article with anonymous sources.
Are you denying that you said that?
Sir, I'm not going to speak to that situation that is relayed on anonymous sources that no one has heard me say that.
It was you.
No. who
I mean, you
reported
said
that
it.
to that newspaper.
They're quoting you on the record, saying it's Stephen's fault. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Noem, as Secretary of Homeland Security, you oversaw Operation Metro Search, is that correct?
Yes, as Secretary, I oversee ICE and CBP and HSI officers that were there doing that work.
3,000 ICE agents, border control.
Should be obvious. I mean, I know cost of living is a problem in America today. We all know that, Mr. President. I like to say when moms and dads go to sleep at night and can't, you know, one of the things they're worried about is cost of living. I get that. What could we do to help? Well, obviously, one thing we could do would be to lower taxes. We've got to be careful how we do that because we don't want to increase the deficit. We don't want to just borrow money to do that. Another thing we could do to help would be to lower interest rates. If we lowered interest rates, people would pay less interest on their credit cards, on their car loans, on their house notes. Well, what could we do, Mr. President, and you know this, to spend less so we could cut taxes and also lower interest rates? One of the things we could do is stop fraud. One of the things we can do is stop the outrageous fraud in our Medicaid program. Now, look, I want to be very clear here. I'm proud of Medicaid. I mean, I'm proud of the fact that in our country, if you're too poor to be sick, we will pay for your doctor. That's not true in every country, as you know, Mr. President. Some countries, they'll just let you die in a ditch. We don't do that in America. We will pay for your medical care. But that's outrageously expensive. It's okay, money well spent, but it's very, very expensive. And one of the ways we pay for people's care, particularly for low-income Americans, but also now even more so for middle-class Americans since Obamacare passed, is through Medicaid. We spend almost $1 trillion on Medicaid every year. And once again, I'm not speaking against the concept of Medicaid. We don't want people to die in America. It's one of the things that separates us from other people. But we spend almost $1 trillion a year, and the federal government, some people don't know this, pays for 67% of all Medicaid spending. Some people refer to Medicaid as a federal state program, and it is. The state puts up some of the money, but the federal government puts up most of the money. We pay for about 67% of all the spending in Medicaid. And Medicaid keeps going up. I mean, I've seen studies that show it's going up anywhere consistently between 6 and 8% every single year. And when you're spending $1 trillion and it goes up 6 to 8%, you're talking about real money. What we also know is that there is an enormous amount of fraud in Medicaid. I mean, we know that. There are a lot of studies out there, and not everyone can agree on how much, but I have seen studies from reputable think tanks that show that Medicaid fraud, stealing in the Medicaid program, runs between $1.1 and $1.2 trillion over a 10-year period. Can you imagine what we could do to lower interest rates or to reduce taxes if we could save $1.2 trillion on our budget? Now, how does this happen? Well, first of all, why don't the states do a better job of controlling the fraud? And I say, why am I blaming the states? Well, because it's a federal state program, and the feds put up 67% of the money, but the states administer that program. And some states do a pretty good job. Some states do a very good job. Some states are terrible at it. I don't know exactly why that is, but every state, I want to make this clear, has fraud. I saw an audit done by our Inspector General in Louisiana a few years ago, and he talked about the incidence of fraud in the Medicaid program in Louisiana, the people who were getting Medicaid who didn't qualify. And I said, can you send me a list of all the people you found in the Medicaid program who didn't qualify, who were making too much money? I don't want names. I just want the amounts of money that they were making and how long they'd been on Medicaid. And he sent me the list, and if I stacked it up here, I could stand on it and paint the ceiling. I mean, we had people making $150,000, $200,000, $250,000 a year getting Medicaid. Now, that was the state's fault for not checking. Some people say the states don't have any incentive. That's a cynical view. I'd prefer not to believe that's true. But they see Medicaid as free money since the federal government is picking up most of the tab. I prefer not to think that's true, but it's probably true to some extent. The point is that if our states would do a better job administering the Medicaid program and stopping the stealing, we could save $1.2 trillion over the next 10 years to help people reach the point where they don't have to sell blood plasma to go to the grocery store. You probably think I'm going to talk about Minnesota, and I'm not. We all know what happened in the Medicaid program in Minnesota. The state of Minnesota basically declared that Medicaid was an open bar. Just come on down, and if you want Medicaid and you want the Medicaid money and you want to steal some, you're welcome to it. I hate to say that, but that's what happened. And I hope every single person who was involved in that stealing up there goes to jail. Every single one. But what I wanted to talk about was, and again, every state has this problem, but some have it worse than others. And one of the ones besides Minnesota that seems to have a problem controlling stealing in the Medicaid program is California. Now, California spends an enormous amount of money on Medicaid. They spend about $220 billion a year. The Fed puts up, federal taxpayer puts up $140 billion of that. So the federal taxpayer, the taxpayers who pay money to the federal government put up most of the money. Not all of it, but most of the money. How much does the Fed put up, federal government put up vis-a-vis the state government? Well, in the Obamacare portion of Medicaid, the federal government puts up $9. So for every $1 that
The silence that follows a John Kennedy roast is the loudest sound in Washington. It's the sound of a system that has run out of lies because it has been caught red-handed. We've watched these elites treat the American taxpayer like an ATM and the Constitution like a suggestion for far too long. But as we saw today, when a witness tries to smile their way through a betrayal, Kennedy is the one who wipes that smile off their face. It isn't just about winning a debate. It's about the fact that, for once, the common sense of the American people was the most powerful weapon in the entire room. This isn't just a hearing. It's a final warning to every official who thinks they are beyond accountability. The receipts are now in the public record. They can try to delete the tapes, they can try to shadow ban these videos, and they can try to suppress the truth through their algorithms, but they cannot stop the millions of you who are waking up right now. Every time a witness realizes they are trapped, a piece of the deep state's power evaporates forever. Kennedy proved that when you have the truth on your side, the giants aren't so big after all. Washington wants you to look away. They want you to go back to sleep and forget what you just witnessed. But I am asking you to do the opposite. I want you to go down to the comments right now and type the word savage if you believe Kennedy just ended their career. We are reading every single comment to show the algorithm that we won't be silenced anymore. If you stand with Senator Kennedy, smash that like button and subscribe right now to join our community of truth seekers. Share this video with one person who still thinks the system is on our side. Thank you for watching, and remember, he smiled too soon and it's finally over. We'll see you in the next one.